Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. We are beginning again with the My Favorite LJN tournament. We are currently on round one, part 36. Now, per usual, we are going to chat a little bit before we get into the thick of the actual tournament. Um, I thought about making this video as an individual type video, but I kind of like doing what I'm doing here, where I'm kind of talking for about 10 minutes or so before, in the beginning of the video, probably before doing the actual tournaments. So, several months ago, there was this huge thing on YouTube with famous YouTuber Sniper Wolf, very popular content creator, like 40 million subscribers. Again, huge content creator. Doxing another huge content creator on YouTube, and for like weeks upon weeks, that's all everybody was talking about. I swear to God, every single YouTuber and their mother, every single day, that's all they were talking about. Every morning I get up, I put on YouTube, I drink my coffee, and I watch some of my favorite channels, watch some of my favorite videos, whatnot. And like every other video I'd see, recommended videos, someone was talking about Sniper Wolf. It was driving me nuts. I get it. It's a huge topic for discussion. But man, it was getting annoying after a few days. And you keep clicking on it because yeah, it is a huge story and you want to hear about it, right? You want to hear other people talk about it, you want to hear their opinions, and you want to hear updates and whatnot, kind of what's going on, but at the same time, it does get frustrating. About a month and a half ago, there's this thing about this trans dude that works for Mr. Beast and his grooming of obviously younger kids, whatnot. And eventually, that guy had to be fired from the Mr. Beast group. And apparently, he and Jimmy, Mr. Beast, they were like close friends. I guess they grew up together or something. I don't know the whole story. Now, mind you, a lot of these names, YouTube wise, really didn't mean anything to me. I mean, I've just kind of learned about these folks over time. When I watch channels like Sensitive Society and Xenashot or Pegasus, some of my favorite commentary channels, they talk about so and so, and that's kind of how I learned about like Mr. Beast and Logan Paul, KSI, which is basically the topic of this particular discussion right now. So yeah, for like a month and a half, it was all about Mr. Beast, and now it's still about Mr. Beast. But now you do include KSI, Logan Paul, because of this new Lunchable thing that they've created, and now everyone and their mom are talking about Lunchables. And look, I've said in 2024 that one of the things I wanted to do, and I did a great job of incorporating new discussion type videos, but I put a halt to those type of videos because I started making a lot of these type videos where I was doing wrestling or collection related videos. So I don't want to make a whole one-off video because honestly, I guess I got kind of outgrown that. I enjoy these videos, these collection videos more. So in 2025, I don't know if I'm gonna go back to the discussion type videos, but maybe. But we'll see what happens when the calendar changes. But things I do want to say before we get into the tournament video. In all honesty, people aren't complaining because these three enormous YouTubers are creating a Lunchables ripoff with their Lunchly. Nobody's complaining because they're saying that these are healthier alternatives to Lunchables. They're not even complaining because they're targeting kids. People might say that that's the exact reason why they're making what their gripes and their complaints are, but no. In all honesty, that has nothing to do with it. In all fairness, if you were Kraft and you came out with, I'm not sure who makes Lunchables. It could be Kraft, but it could be another company. No, I think, is it Oscar Mayer? I could be wrong. I think Oscar Mayer makes Lunchables. So let's say Kraft decided to come out with Lunchly, and they came out with commercials saying it's a healthier alternative. Do you think people were going to come out and start looking at the ingredients and saying, not really? No. You look at Post Cocoa Pebbles, and then you go into Walmart, and then you look at the Post Cocoa Pebbles. Let's say a 12-ounce box costs you $4.50, or you can get this generic Walmart brand Cocoa Dino Bites in a big old bag that's like 3 times the size and like $1.50 more. The exact same freaking cereal. Nobody ever complains about these generic foods and Oreos, cereal. I mean, there's a ton of different generics out there. And I kind of look at Lunchly as just being another generic off-brand. So Lunchly is just being an off-brand of Lunchables. No, in my personal opinion, now I could be wrong, but the way that I see it, people are not complaining about Logan Paul, Mr. Beast, KSI, because they're advertising to kids. They're not complaining because they're saying that it's a healthier alternative. They're complaining because you've got these 3 mega superstar YouTubers with a bajillion subscribers and trillions and gazillions of dollars to their name, trying to become even more rich by creating by creating more advertisement, creating more products for sale to make them even more wealthier. That's what it boils down to. I have like 500 subs, right? If I came out with my own marketing product that I marketed Lunchly, I don't think I would get as much hate, and I'm sure, yes, I would get the same. I would get a lot of hate from certain folks, but I don't think I would have nearly the backlash that these guys are. Okay, you can't compare, me with my content or my amount of viewers compared to guys who are getting 20 million to, I don't know, Mr. Beast has like 200 million subscribers, so he's getting hundreds of millions of views on his videos, etc. So that reaches a whole slew of people out there around the world. So just my 2 cents before we start the video. Again, I thought about making my own off-brand video about it, but I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do that. Forget it. I will make a simple discussion in the beginning like I've been doing just prior to my tournament video. So I'm sure a lot of you guys that watch YouTube on a regular basis know all about the incidents that's happening with the whole Lunchly thing, but oddly enough, I was at Aldi probably a month ago, and it's like the first time I stepped into an Aldi store in God knows how many years. And I bought a Lunchable for like the first time since probably since childhood. It's fine, man. It's a small freaking snack. It's cheese, it's crackers, it's a little. I mean, is that little Prime energy drink or whatever the heck it is? I've never had Prime. I don't know what it is. I assume it was an energy drink, but maybe it's juice, like a Capri Sun or something. But whatever. Electrolytes. Everybody's all about that electrolytes. Like you need Gatorade or Powerade or something. You know what? Water's fine. In the Army, during basic training, AIT, they really push Powerade on you. And it's just different because it's like essentially flavored water, pretty much. But I'm going to stop right there because that's all I had to say on that subject. And I really wish people would stop talking about it because it's becoming too much. It's becoming annoying. But like I said, there are a lot of content creators that I really enjoy listening to. August the Duck is amazing. Pegasus is fantastic. So when these guys bring this stuff up and they talk about it, you still kind of want to hear what they've got to say on the topic. But it's just when every single person out there is talking about it, it just becomes too much. So, with that being concluded, let's get into the main topic of today's video, which is the tournament. The main focal point of today's video, and hopefully it is a good one. Because some of these videos, let's be honest, with random drawings, there's some videos that are just so stacked with so many amazing figures, so many great customs, and then there's certain videos where it's like, good competition, evenly balanced sometimes, but maybe the figures aren't like, don't like blow your mind, aren't the blow your mind figures, but that's okay. All right, Andre Series 1. Wow, I cannot believe we have not seen the first Andre yet. Original, I should say. And he squares off against King Haku. Now, I wonder if that's the Random Treasures King Haku, because I have not... I wonder. Because I got multiple King Hakus. We've seen the Robert Jackson King Haku, where he turned the Jimmy Snuka into Haku. And I have another one from a random seller. I really should have wrote down Random Treasures on there, but I didn't. So I'm going to assume that's what that is. Bret Hart Red. See, a lot of these names I'm drawing now, I'm kind of curious if I pull these figures, because I've seen so many of these duplicates, it's hard to remember all of them. Dang it. This is a fantastic matchup. This is an absolutely killer matchup. That is Red Bret Hart squaring off against the upgraded King Kong Bundy. I'm not surprised. Wrestling writer Bret Hart. I'm not surprised. I'm not even gonna say it, because you guys know what I'm gonna say. So why beat a dead horse? No. 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 Damn. Wrestling writer Bret Hart squares off against Random Treasures Barbarian. So, one of the two figures I assumed would probably make it into round 5 are not going to go to round 5. Last one is going to feature... Well, this is going to be an odd video, man. You're going to see 2 Bundys. You're going to see 2 Bret Harts. This matchup is going to feature white and purple $1 Million Man as he does battle against Mark Hackenberg's King Kong Bundy. So, I'm going to go ahead and pull those figures. I'll be back momentarily. Alright, where are we at? We're already at we're already past 13 minutes. I gotta try and go fast on this one. This video is probably gonna go about 45 minutes anyways. We said Andre Series 1 original taking on King Haku, and I'm assuming that this is gonna be a Random Treasures King Haku, because I don't remember if I've seen King Haku in the past. And you know what, before I do that, I'm going to pause and I'm going to go through this bowl and see if that other King Haku figure is in this listing. Alright folks, so it looks like it's a good thing I did check. There was no name in the bowl. I went back to my notes and we already did look at the King Haku for Random Treasures. So we're going to look at the other and final King Haku. So this is the correct matchup. Series 1 Andre taking on King Haku. We will start with the King Haku figure. Now this one, I don't exactly remember who I got this from. I could say Stinger GQ. Why? Because it seems like almost all of my customs that didn't come from a specific customizer, I bought on auction from Stinger GQ, because, you know, Buddy Daly, he's got an amazing collection. I can't say that enough. Now, this isn't an original, but When you look at this figure, now I should have actually kept the other Ram Treasures King Haku as a comparison, because when you look at this body and the rubber, it's very comparable to that of the original, right? But when you look at the other King Haku, I don't know what it is about the Ram Treasures rubber, but it's light brown. It's soft. It's just not good quality, and I think that's why the paint chips as badly as it does. So I don't know. It's just I think that, like many figures out there, I've talked about it with like grapplers and gimmicks. You look at, I don't know, look at Ahmed Johnson. A lot of people, when they first got their figure and they open up the package, the figure shattered into different pieces. I call it build a figure. It's not that it broke. It's just that you basically gotta connect the torso, put the chest and back together, kind of connect the head, put the waist and the legs together. So it's not necessarily broken. It just doesn't stay together, type of deal, right? Now, when you look at Smoke Train, Charles Wright, Papa Shango, look at it's not the best figure in the world, but as you move down the line to Mabel and Mo, which is probably their best figures, and you keep on going down, and you look at nowadays, I feel like Grappler's Gimmicks is probably about as close to Hasbro as you could find. Series 1, Series 2 Hasbro figures, fantastic. But compared to like Series 3 and onward, Series 3 is when Hasbro really exploded. So I think with the early going with figures like the King Haku, and when you look at like the rubber with Bob Backlund, I think they were kind of like experimenting with different rubber usage. And that's why you get the really flimsy, bad rubber, and why the figures, why they have a lot of cracks in the paint job and all that. So, but as you go down and they incorporate new rubber into their designs, you get this amazing Bruno figure, or not Bruno, excuse me, Dino Bravo figure, right, with really thick, hard skin and whatnot. So it's easy to complain about the rubber of the earlier figures, but at least in the latter half, the last year or so, the rubber's gotten so much better, and the figures have improved vastly. But I look at this figure and I compare it to that Ram Treasures figure. I'm like, yeah, this is a huge difference between the two figures. Now, with that being said, whether it's King Haku or it's the Islander Haku from the original LJN line, still not one of my favorite figures. It looks great aesthetically with the different color. I like it because it's different. I still prefer the Islander look, but it's nice. It's a nice addition to the collection. Terrible play pose. At the end of the day, Andre the Giant, when I first started collecting LJNs, and I had figures like Big John Studd and Hogan and this Andre, it was so difficult for me to choose which one I liked the most. And this was very early stage, right? When I didn't have a whole lot. 10 figures, 15, 20, 30, etc. And as I got, as I was building it more and more, I was still gravitating towards the first few figures, the three that I mentioned, as being among my favorite. At that time, figures like Nikolai Volkov, as I said, was number 4, and Junkyard Dog was like number 5. I mean, Nikolai Volkov is like number 15, 16 nowadays. Junkyard Dog, he's probably like 17 or somewhere around that area. So, and the pose helps Junkyard Dog, but the grip on it, I always talked about, really sucked. I've always enjoyed these figures with the bent legs because it's just they just play differently. They function differently, and I think they play a whole lot better. And the pose has always been fantastic. Now, when you compare a Series 1 Andre to like Series 2 and /6, which is the same figure, his arms extend out just a shade more. This is like a Series 2, right? where Series 6 or Series 1 is this. So that little extra emphasis, expansion of the arms, gives it a little bit more of a playability to it, makes it a little bit more fun. And that's why for a playable figure, I've always said Series 1 is the best in that regard. Now, there are things about the Series 1 that a lot of people hate on. They may not like the whole bushy hair thing, but you know what? That's Andre. That's his look. Before his infamous haircut. I don't remember no haircut. Again, depending on when that happened, 84-ish, I'm thinking. It happened in 84. I wasn't born yet, so. But, I mean, obviously, when I talk about Andre the Giant, I talk about short-haired Andre, black strap, singlet. That's how I remember Andre. Obviously, when I went into collecting and I started watching old videos and stuff, I've gone back and I've seen him in yellow trunks. I've seen him in blue trunks, red trunks, purple/maroon trunks. Yeah, I've seen him in Japan in the 70s and in the 80s in WWF in the early going. Seen him as the giant machine and what have you. I still covet this figure. I know a lot of people hate on it, but you know what? This is still, in my opinion, a top 3 LJN figure. No one will ever be able to change my mind on that. This is a fantastic piece. Andre could never lose to Haku in my favorite LJN tournament. And it's nice to see that these two got drawn together. I like when matches like this happen. What were these guys called? Was it a Colossal Connection? Was that the name? They were tag team partners. I know they were tag team partners. I can't really remember the name too well, but I think that's what it was. Colossal Connection. Or the Colossus. I don't remember. It's Colossal something. But I'm sure someone will be able to correct me in the comments. Let me know if I said it correctly or if I misspoke. And I just dropped the hat, the helmet, crown. But Andre Series 1 is moving on to round 2. Next matchup. This was a heartbreaking one because it features 2 absolutely extraordinary figures. And it featured upgraded King Kong Bundy as he squares off against red Bret Hart. So we've already seen red Jim Neidhart in this tournament, right? And I've said that I enjoy these figures for the sake that when you look at their LJN posters, they're not wearing pink or light purple pants. They are wearing red pants. This is their outfit on the LJN posters. And yeah, it's too far back. I won't be able to kind of like move the phone so that you could see it back there, but this is their look. So I really enjoyed the fact that when I bought this I think I won this on auction. I can't remember if I got both Hart Foundation figures on one auction. I think I got them individually. So I had to win both Jim and Bret by themselves. And then I won the red shirt referee by himself. And I think it was free shipping. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, you pay up for them. But it's the Hart Foundation. Hart Foundation figures will always be worth money. Bret Hart, I still classify as probably my number 13 or so favorite figure, but man, I don't know if I could really classify it that high, to be honest. He is a punch-only figure, as I've always stated, and I can't keep this championship belt on. Obviously, I like the rubber belts, the actual LJN style belts, but occasionally, if I have these belts, I might throw them on a figure. Especially if they're big enough to fit around the waist. But it is barely, so I'm just going to throw it on the shoulder for now. I rate Bret Hart that high because he is one of the greatest wrestlers in history. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Number 4 on my list of all-time favorite wrestlers. Possibly the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. In my opinion, one of the top 3 heavyweight champions ever. A real wrestler, as you would say. And when we talk real wrestling, we're talking high school or collegiate type wrestling. Mat to the floor type of holds, type of wrestling, where you got to sit there and do takedowns and arm holds and stuff like that. So he wasn't just a clothesline guy or a punch guy or a body slam guy. You know, he actually had legitimate skills. So, and you know what, his figure is good. He does have a good figure. It's just not the perfect. But it's something that you would definitely enjoy. And because of the character that it is, you would get so much enjoyment out of this. And I've always said I kind of like the fact that, and really getting that new Ram Treasures figure in for Tito Santana, it really helped make my point. Because they came out with this Tito Santana design for Series 3, but then they scrapped it and they came out with this crappy arm extended pose. But then in Series 4, they ended up using that exact same pose anyways, and they put him on Bret Hart. Now, it's not 100% identical. I would say it about 90% identical. I think his right arm might be extended a little bit more. I think Tito's arm was probably like more like that, but almost an exact replica to what Tito Santana's original pose would have been in Series 3. So I found that interesting that they withheld that pose. But imagine if this Bret Hart had that extended arm for Tito Santana if they didn't change that. Then Bret Hart would not be a number 13 or number 14, whatever I place him wrestling figure. He would be like number 69 or something. So maybe there are preferences. So maybe there are some positives to take away from that. King Kong Bundy. When I bought this figure on, the guy that bought it from, I can't remember his name, but this is exactly a King Kong Bundy type figure that I've always wanted, right? I've always said King Kong Bundy, the original LJN, arms down like the Lex Luger Galoob. Outside of Greg Valentine, when I was doing the wrestling matches to get the feel for the figures, outside of Greg Valentine, he was my most used figure. And he had an absolute terrible pose. One of my most enjoyable used figures, and you know what? He had everything I needed except for play pose. Stocky, heavy figure, great grip on the figure. But with the arms down, you had to sit there. You kind of had to like pretend, right? I can't really do it with this figure, but you guys know what I mean. But it sucked to kind of sit there and pretend. I don't want to pretend. I want to be able to look at the figure, look at the arms, and know exactly what he can do, what his attributes are. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever I sent that big box, well, I sent multiple boxes, but I sent a bunch of boxes to Eric. I'm like, hey, here's a really beat up King Kong Bundy. Here's another beat up Big John Studd. I want Big John Studd's arms on King Kong Bundy. So that basically King Kong Bundy would be like, you know, like the stud with this, like the Sid Vicious pose, right, with the arms out, up high. Well, I never got that figure. I haven't gotten that figure in yet. I'm still hoping one day, maybe. But when I saw the seller about a couple months ago or so had this figure for sale, I'm like, my God, it's even better than the figure that I was thinking about making. And it's basically SD Jones. Now, SD Jones has his arm much lower, but he's got that choke slam and he's got the right hand out. And I said SD Jones could potentially be one of the greatest action figures ever made. And it's so many amazing figures from the LJN line. It's really hard to choose. SD Jones could be a bona fide number one perfect figure. Big Boss Man could be a bona fide #1 perfect figure. Hulk Hogan could be bona fide #1. Kamala could be bona fide #1. I still list Stud at #1 for nostalgic reasons. So it's difficult to really say which one you credit as being the best figure, because it's hard. King Kong Bundy with the bad pose, I could still say could technically be up there. If this was your King Kong Bundy from the get-go, absolutely. I'm just gonna put it out there. King Kong Bundy is gonna win this match, and I want to say that immediately because I've said it when I made that video. When I did the review of this figure, I said that if I ever did another My Favorite LJN tournament, it wasn't just a title that I gave to draw in viewers. And I think the title was something like the greatest LJN figure ever made, ? Or something like that. I don't really remember, but no. I literally believe this could be the potential greatest figure ever. Does he have all of this different flashy colors? Okay, that's points off. Does he have an accessory? No, points off. So can I really say that he has everything I need? I still put Bruiser Brody on that pedestal because, well, my champion, right? 2-time champion. You have to, if you're going to compare any of these figures, you've got to compare them to the champion. Him and Bruiser Brody in the finals. At this point, because Brody has won my first 2 tournaments, I have to say yes. From the very get-go of this tournament, I have to say Bruiser Brody is going to win. But is he really going to win? There's no guarantee. Could he win? I mean, he might win. Absolutely, he might win. Or he could be eliminated next round. You just don't know. I always say things change, and I do believe that this is a legitimate contender to potentially wipe him out. If they've screwed for the next round, this could be the guy that does him in. Why do I always get spam calls when I'm filming? That's so frustrating. You know what I notice a lot when I film? Like when I film on my computer, and I kind of mess myself up because I never close out my tabs. So like I always have AOL open, and every time without fail, I always get that little ding every time I get an email. So that always pops up on my videos. It's so annoying. And when I film on my cell phone, I always get incoming phone calls, but they're spam phone calls. So unless it's the finals, I'm eager to see Bruiser Brody versus King Kong Bundy. That is a match I'm dying to see, because I want to talk about that so badly. But like I said, I only want that match to happen if it's in the finals. Because if it happens, let's say round 2, round 3, round 4, then you're going to eliminate a great figure immediately. And I'm not prepared to give an answer at that stage. So, but King Kong Bundy, for me, is an easy choice. Well, not easy, but it was, yeah, I would say easy. We're still with Bret Hart, and he is going to square off against the Barbarian. So, we will start with Barbarian, and this is what I'm talking about with the rubber. Now, I don't know if that's like supposed to be a tan or whatnot, or if it's just the quality of the rubber. Like Haku from Ram Treasures has very similar rubber to this. This rubber isn't that bad though. Like it's relatively hard, you know. It's good rubber. It's not bad. The color is a little bit off, but I mean, the rubber's fine. The head mold is solid work. Good detail on the little bands and wrist guards, right? And even with the little lettering. Barbarian to me has always been, and I think will forever be, one of my favorite Rim treasure pieces. Not only does it complete a Powers of Pain tag team with a legitimate barbarian figure, not like those barbarians that you get using Jesse Ventura with the bad head mold. Nah, solid head mold, great pose, very Butch Reed esque with the gloob two ups or with the gloobs. So fantastic. I mean, like I said, this is, for all intents and purposes, this is a bona fide contender to win the tournament. Does he ever come close? I don't know where Barbarian ever gets eliminated. I don't know if he ever makes it like round 5 in the past. He could have been like round 3, round 4. Again, I don't remember exactly every single character and every single figure and what rounds they've been eliminated, but when I say bona fide contenders, yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces. Absolutely. But if they get eliminated first round, does that say, well, shoot, he really didn't have a chance at all? Not at all. The same thing could be said about this Bret Hart. This Bret Hart could be a bona fide winner for this tournament, but he doesn't have the good pose I enjoy, right? But there are other aspects about this figure that I really enjoy. The overall aesthetics of the figure is great. Good paint job, right? And it's odd that a simple jacket accessory, especially the way that it kind of dangles off the shoulders, and the pose, you know, he does a, I don't know if you can't see it on the camera, but the way he puts his hands out, it kind of looks like he's doing that. I don't think he was doing that pose in the 80s. I think that was more when he became a singles wrestler in the 90s, but this is very synonymous with the Bret Hart I remember from my childhood watching in the 90s. So my very first tournament, I kind of felt like this was, I thought 2 figures were going to end up in the finals. I thought maybe Bruiser Brody possibly had a good chance. And I thought Bret Hart most definitely was going to be one of those figures in the finals. If not, let's say Bruiser Brody, I thought maybe potentially Bret Hart and let's say one of the other custom Jim Neidhart figures could have potentially been in the finals. I thought that was a possibility. I think he's had good runs. I think he's been like fifth round figure. I think in the last tournament he was a 4th rounder or so. And so when I talk about in the future, if I ever do these tournaments again for a 4th time, a 5th time, etc., if I keep going on a yearly basis, I'm going to break it down to like maybe 128 figures. That way it makes it a lot easier viewing, a lot easier on me to make these videos, make these rounds. That way you're not having 40 episodes for one round. You might do 25 episodes or less for an entire tournament. So much more manageable. Now remember, now not including the very first episode, because the very first episode I ever made was kind of like a introduction type video. So episodes 2 through 27. So 26 episodes to film the first tournament. So an entire tournament, 26 episodes, and this first round here in this tournament, it's going to be 40 episodes. That's insane. So you're going to have 3 times as many episodes. That's all in all crazy. I don't know, man. This sucks. When I drew the names, I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm trying to think when I draw the names, I'm trying to plan ahead, and I'm thinking, okay, where do I think I might go? And I was kind of leaning towards Bret. I thought maybe Bret Hart would be the most realistic answer because I think in past tournaments he's had the most success. But I really like the Barbarian. I like his pose a whole lot more, and I think his head mold, in my opinion, is far superior. Now, yeah, there's not really anything that's been changed on this Bret. It's still the original LJN head mold. And really, the only thing that's really upgraded is the accessory. Yeah, you've changed the pants and the color of the boots and whatnot, but I think nostalgia would get me. If I chose Bret, it would be because of who he is as a wrestler, who he is as a person, and not necessarily Barbarian because I don't know a whole lot of Barbarian. Now, Warlord in the 90s, I could say, yeah, at least I grew up watching him a little bit more, but Powers of Pain in general, don't really have too many memories of that tag team. I don't think Powers of Pain even wrestled for too long as a group, to be honest. So I am gonna go with Bret Hart. Why? Because I have to. It's freaking Bret Hart, and sometimes name recognition is going to be the final determining factor. I mean, that can't always be the reason, but in this case, it has to be. I have to give special shout outs to the Barbarian, man. At the end of this first round, if I end up with an odd number of figures, so if the last matchup is like three remaining contestants, I can either do a one-on-one, push one of them forward. I could push two of them forward and eliminate just one. Or I can go back through all of the figures that I eliminated, choose one figure that I feel like has the best chance of doing more in this tournament, that deserves a second chance, and bringing them back into the tournament and kind of giving you another one-on-one matchup and giving you two more matches, which I probably won't do because, I mean, once one's been eliminated, it pretty much tells you that there's a good opportunity they're going to be eliminated again. For instance, he got eliminated. He comes back in at the end. He makes it all the way to the finals. The finals is this match. He can't win when he's already been eliminated in the first round by the same character, right? So I would probably just do a three-man matchup and probably choose. I'd probably choose two because I'd want to see more people move forward to the next round. Now, this is a fun matchup. This is a 90s combination of the $1 Million Corporation. From Mark Hackenberg, we have King Kong Bundy, and I don't know where I got this $1 Million Man from. Probably Stinger GQ, maybe. We will start with $1 Million Man. Now, I've got plenty of $1 Million Man figures, and this has got to be one of my all-time favorite $1 Million Man figures, if not my most favorite. Now, there is a black and gold I really enjoy. I think I have a white and gold, which is pretty spectacular. Yes, the Ram Treasures green is very reminiscent to the Series 2 Hasbro, which I grew up with, so that meant a lot to me for a long time. But there's just something very special about this particular look of this $1 Million Man figure. Everything on here is just done so freaking well. The purple is beautiful. The glitter that is added onto the purple, it just makes everything of the color purple just pop beautifully. And $1 Million Man, to me, it's not like it's a bad overall figure. It's still a very enjoyable, playful figure, even with the money in his hand. So it's a perfectly fine, acceptable figure, even when you're just talking about the original. And from Mark Hackenberg, I mean, he can always take a lot of the simple figures and make them spectacular. King Kong Bundy to me is not necessarily a simple figure. It's simple in its color scheme. Just a black singlet. It's kind of like your Andre the Giant, right? Play pose is great for that figure, but color scheme, black singlet, very simple. But how do you take a King Kong Bundy figure that's just a black singlet and make him really stand out? Well, you take that black singlet, you turn it into a t-shirt. So now you give him more graphics, you throw a design on said t-shirt, and this is an absolute killer look. In fact, I think luckily today on Facebook I just saw an image. I think it was SummerSlam 88. No. Was it Survivor? No, it had to be Survivor Series. All of them bleed in together. Let's say Survivor Series 87 through 89. I don't remember when. I think the first Survivor Series was 87, so it could have been 87. The only thing I kind of remember about that Survivor Series, now I know on the heel side, you had Captain Andre the Giant. Now Andre the Giant was pretty much exposable at that time. He could not do anything in the ring. I mean, he's basically a chop, a slap, a bear hug, a headbutt guy. I don't want to call a legend like Andre the Giant useless, but he could do anything in the ring at that time. You had King Kong Bundy, freaking a damn beast, my God. You had One Man Gang, who was an absolute beast, a giant killer. You had Butch Reed, and you had Rick Rude. Now, I could always remember the heel side. I can't remember the freaking the face side at all. The only guys I can remember from that side was Hulk Hogan and I think Paul Orndorff. And, Bam Bam Bigelow, because he was the last guy standing for the good guys. But I can't remember I couldn't remember the other two guys. But I think Hogan, once he was eliminated, it was down to Bam Bam. And he had to take on One Man Gang, King Kong Bundy, and Andre the Giant. And he got rid of Bundy, eliminated One Man Gang, and they had to go off against Bundy, against the Giant, and then freaking Andre just tossed him around like a rag doll before he finally pinned him. But I mentioned that because there was a picture of King Kong Bundy wearing this kind of shirt, right? And with all of the other four guys that I mentioned. So I just thought that was pretty awesome. So it kind of gives you an idea of where this came from, where this look originates from. So that's pretty freaking awesome. King Kong Bundy with the upgraded arms, perfect figure. Legitimate chance of winning this tournament. Original LJN King Kong Bundy may not win my tournament. He will make it very far, respectively, depending on competition, of course. This one, give you that huge, fantastic upgrade. Does he win the tournament? I just don't want to come out and say no, because you don't know what's going to happen. I kind of give you that example of the whirlwind, right? Where A can beat B, B can beat C, but C can beat A. So if A first, or if A, or, well, I kind of butchered that, but you understand what I mean, though, right? So if I don't know, if we'll go back to Bruiser Brody. Let's say Bruiser Brody faces off against $1 Million Man. Maybe Bruiser Brody wins. What if Bruiser Brody faces King Kong Bundy? Maybe Bundy wins. But if Bundy faces $1 Million Man, maybe $1 Million Man wins. So it's that type of deal. So it all depends on who faces who. So different people could beat different wrestlers for different reasons. I love this $1 Million Man figure. This one deserves 3 rounds minimum, and this should be a 4th rounder. But I just cannot say no to this King Kong Bundy. I think it's one of the most perfect figures that Mark has ever made. And he's got some absolute doozies out there. He's some absolutely fantastic pieces. And this has got to be one of my favorites. So King Kong Bundy is going to surpass the $1 Million Man to move on to round 2. So in this video, we get 2 Bundys, we get 2 Brets. Every video, it seems like we get 2 of the same characters, and it's kind of like annoying. I want to see different characters, but that's what happens when you end up with so many customs or so many duplicates, so many of the same characters. But guys, we're past 50 minutes. This has been a very long video. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video overall, and I will see you tomorrow with the next tournament video. Take care, everybody.